Let's create a simple Kubernetes pod, and a service. Let's create a YAML file named pods.yaml. In this file we will add the parameters which will decide the configuration of our pod. Every Kubernetes file consists of 4 main parameters: API version, kind, metadata, and spec. The API version for the pod will be v1. The kind of this file is pod, as we are making pod. In metadata, we will specify the name and the labels of this pod. The spec will contain the container's information, the name of container and the image used to create it, and ports if any. Here we are using a Hello World image from the Microsoft. We have to add containers word before this. Let's create the pod using this command. Let's check the status. The container in the pod is being created. Yeah, now the container is running and pod is ready. This pod is running, but the web page is inside the pod. To access it, we must map the container port with the pod port. To do so we need to create a service. Let's create a new YAML file named service.yaml. This file will also have the same basic parameters: API version, kind, metadata and spec. The API version for the pod will be v1. The kind of this file is service as we are making a service. In metadata, we will specify the name of the service. The spec will have a selector parameter where we will add the labels of the pod for which we want the service to be exposed. Let's copy the labels and paste them here. Then we have to specify the ports, the port of the container and the target port of the pod. Let's create the service by running the kubectl create command. The service is running and is exposed at port 80. Let's get the URL of the running service from Minikube. Our web application is running and we can see this web page. The service My Service which we created is running on localhost at port 38523. Our application is running inside the container, which is part of the Kubernetes pod. The pod is exposed to the internet via service. That's all for this video.